Hey, happy Thanksgiving if you celebrate, and happy Black Friday for the rest of us. This week, Huawei proved that they're very much still not dead. We learned exactly how well or poorly Snapdragon PCs are selling, and the FTC decided to sue a bunch of companies before they got replaced. Welcome to the Friday Checkout. This video was sponsored by Insta360. Okay, my first story of the week starts with Huawei, who launched the Mate X6 foldable and also 4 versions of the Mate 70 series non-foldable flagship, and here are a few highlights of mine. First, there's this really funny looking system where you can approach a Huawei device, grab a file in the air that's on screen, and then airdrop that on another one for it to transfer. A bit silly, but fun. And this of course uses Harmony OS Next, which is Huawei's non-Android based OS. Some of the new models also got the new Red Maple image sensor, which I've already talked about last week. There is 80-watt wireless charging on some of the models, which is absolutely insane. And interestingly, also dual satellite communication, which now works with both China's Beidou and Tiantong satellites. Meanwhile, the most mysterious part of the launch was definitely Huawei's new Kirin 9020 chip. These days, Huawei doesn't really talk about their chips that much because I guess they're A, something like 3 years behind the competition in terms of raw performance, and B, they don't really want a whole lot of attention lest they get even more sanctions in case they figure something out. But here's what we know. A photo shows a 2+6+4 core layout, which means that this is again probably a hyper-threaded design, and Antutu benchmarks so far show the chip at over 1.2 million, which is almost 30% higher than the predecessor. That actually sounds pretty good until of course you realize that the latest Snapdragon chip has already been benchmarked at over 3 million points, which is something like 2 to 3 times as much. Still, progress is progress, and I guess raw performance on a mobile phone is so insanely high anyway, I'm not sure if this is like a major problem for most people, but this is what we know so far. Okay, for my second story of the week, we finally got concrete sales figures for Snapdragon laptops. Canalys announced new data that generally focuses on the fact that the sale of AI PCs accounted for 20% of the total PC market last quarter. And if you're wondering, they're basically referring to any PC as an AI PC if it has an NPU in it, such as the MacBooks and the new Copilot Plus PCs. Looking at their graph, we can see pretty aggressive growth in this category in Windows, as Qualcomm, AMD, and Intel all released their competing chips. And we can see that in total, last quarter, 13.3 million units were shipped. And then TechRadar then also found out that in that AI PC pile, 720,000 were actual Snapdragon models. This is our first full quarter of Snapdragon PC sales, and the extrapolation is a little bit weird, but bear with me. TechRadar wrote that Snapdragon PCs only made up under 0.8% of the PC market, which would indeed be pretty terrible. I think their calculations are a little bit off though, since I did my own calculations based on the data from Canalys, and I can see that 66.5 million devices were sold in total, of which Snapdragon PCs should have accounted for something closer to 1.1%. That is a little less terrible than 0.8%, but of course still not great, and both ARM and Qualcomm said that they expect ARM-based PCs to make up 50% of the Windows market in the next 5 years, and we're still very clearly pretty far away from that. Anyway, Microsoft's Surface line is reportedly the best-selling Snapdragon line, which kind of makes sense as you'd expect Windows enthusiasts to be the first in line for this new tech. Canalys said that Windows 10 soon becoming end of life should continue to drive sales, and Qualcomm is preparing to launch budget X Elite laptops next year to reach the value laptop segment. Also, my researcher Tristan just picked up the Snapdragon-powered Surface Laptop 7 because the Black Friday deals on Surfaces are particularly aggressive here in Germany this year, so I guess those discounts could drive sales too. He really likes his laptop so far, so I've left some affiliate links down in the description if you want to check if maybe in your country there's good deals on Surfaces as well. Okay, and for my third story of the week, you think that the FTC would be backing down after the new elections and after the Google case is still going on, but apparently no, they got 3 new rulings going on. First, they decided to investigate Microsoft over antitrust concerns, and they asked the company for, quote, information that spans hundreds of pages and culminates over a year of informal discussions with Microsoft competitors and partners. They're basically trying to figure out if Microsoft is abusing its market power to keep customers from moving their data away from Azure and a few other secondary things. Meanwhile, the second investigation is related to Uber, which is over complaints that the Uber One subscription can be signed up without consent, and then it can become very hard to cancel. In response, Uber said that, quote, the majority of those cancellations take 20 seconds or less, which is funny given that in my experience, it's really not easy at all to find the cancel button. And finally, the FTC also warned that Smart Gadgets' failure to commit to software support could be illegal. After looking at 184 random smart products across 64 product categories, including soundbars, video doorbells, breast pumps, and more, they found that only 11.4% of them even committed to some software support duration at all. And hilariously, one product claimed that they offered a lifetime support, but then the last security update was in 2021. Now, should the FTC regulate software support, or is this just over-regulation? Will any of this survive the Trump presidency? We don't know, but here we are. Okay, moving on to the release monitor, Raspberry Pi announced the Pico 2W, a wireless version of its Pico 2 microcontroller board running RISC-V. It costs $7 and it has Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. Pretty awesome. Next, a very odd-looking thing called the Brutalist speaker was launched by the Swedish firm Transparent for $4,000. I think this looks evil or something? I don't know, it kind of weirds me out. And talking of strange things, you can now buy a pair of shoes that is modeled after Apple's running shoe emoji, which itself is based on a 1998 pair of New Balance shoes that Steve Jobs was wearing, and these new shoes made by a random artist now cost $220. That's pretty smart, but I also kinda smell a lawsuit coming up real soon. And finally, for the release monitor, the US also got its first Snapdragon 8 Elite phone, which is the Nubia Z70 Ultra. You can even get it in a Van Gogh-inspired colorway option if you fancy. Let the new flagship season begin. Okay, and as for the brief, we start with the Biden-Harris administration finally finalizing its almost $8 billion funding award under the US CHIPS Act. That is less than the promised $8.5 billion, but still pretty good. Next, we learned that Sony is apparently making a new handheld gaming console that allows users to natively play PlayStation 5 games without having to stream them from anywhere. Sadly, it's reportedly, quote, years away from launch, but with Microsoft tipped to be working on a handheld as well, this category is seeing quite some love. And talking of leaks, the Galaxy S25 series had loads of them this week, including on Reddit and on Android Authority, which also just basically more rounded corners for the Ultra. Quite a similar design to the regular non-Ultra models. And still with phones, Android introduced a new Restore Credentials feature, which helps move your active logins from one phone to the next seamlessly, much like on an iPhone. Apparently the apps themselves still need to roll out support for it, but on an OS level, this should now just work going back all the way to Android 9. Nice. Okay, and talking of nice things, I recently went to the highest swing in all of Europe at 120 meters above the ground, which terrified me quite a bit, but also got me this amazing footage. I really like it. As you can see, I held onto the chains with both hands for dear life, but I still managed to shoot video with my Insta360 Go 3S. This is the cutest little camera that you can attach to anything that is magnetic for some really unique shots, and this little guy is also on discount for Black Friday right now. I most often use it on this magnetic pendant that you can wear for some super easy chest height POV shots, and I find this extremely practical for getting footage of things while my hands are busy. For example, we booked this ridiculously cozy hot tub inside a boat on the River Spree with some friends, and I was captaining the ship so my hands were tight, but I could still easily get a ton of good footage while also staying in the moment. Thankfully, the camera itself is also water resistant, so no worries about that here. You also get some surprisingly high quality 4K footage, especially for how tiny the camera is, and I found that even after sunset, the footage held up much better than I expected given the tiny size. Oh, and it also comes with this action pod which it wirelessly attaches to, so you can remotely monitor and control whatever you're shooting. And when you're done, you can just plop it in and the action pod automatically charges the camera, so you can go from an already very impressive 38 minutes of battery life to 140 minutes with the pod. Super cool. Now, I don't have an iPhone, but if you do, the camera even supports Apple Find My, which is extra useful for something this tiny. The Black Friday deals make the Go 3S especially attractive, with the first 10 buyers using my link getting 10% off and also a free quick reader as a gift to get that footage offloaded even faster. And you might have already seen me mentioning other cool Insta360 products before, which are also on sale right now, so I've linked a few of those down below too. Check them out, and I'll see you in the next video.